YouTube truly is a ginormous ocean of content. Spanning nearly 2 decades and with so many users, it would be quite literally impossible to ever run out of things to watch on this platform. There are so many channels out there, you're simply never going to have the chance to watch all of them. The true backbone of YouTube are those channels run by passionate individuals who have been dedicated to making content for years on end, even if they maintain relatively small audiences. Those folks that really put the you in YouTube, you know? Think to yourself about those tiny channels that you've found over the years that have been dedicated to making consistent content that's at the very least watchable consistently for at least the past several years or more. What kind of subscriber count comes to mind? 1, maybe 2,000, somewhere at least in the hundreds. Try 38 subscribers. Imagine my shock back in late 2020 when my friend discovered and introduced me to this beautiful channel, Ben Miracle, where Hollywood is taken seriously. This madman had been uploading fully edited, structurally sound reviews for over 7 years, with absolutely zero fanfare and no audience to speak of.
That's it?
Unfortunately, you have to take my word for it that he used to have 38 subs. My friend and I made a gimmick account on Twitter featuring clips from Ben's show that managed to net him over another 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing. And I didn't get a screenshot of the sub count at the time. Oops. I looked deep into this beautiful man's eyes, and I wanted to know more. Why is almost every thumbnail nearly exactly the same? Why do these videos, which involve reviewing the latest, most relevant movies in theaters, all have less than 20 views each? Is that Scott the fucking Woz? Oh! When I finally watched Ben's videos, I had never seen anything so confusing, yet entertaining and pure at the same time. You may have no idea who Ben Miracle is. Honestly, I still really don't either, but I guarantee you that after watching this video, he is going to become a YouTube icon in your heart. Allow me to introduce you to Ben Miracle's Where Hollywood is Taken Seriously.
It's been...
Turbo makes the animated movie Cars look like a very boring animated movie when it is not.
Ben's film reviews are so consistent and firm in structure that it's honestly incredibly impressive. Out of all of 216 of Ben's reviews uploaded to date, which I've watched every single one of, by the way,
I would have rather been writing a tedious 100-page essay on the differences and similarities between trees.
very few ever deviate from the established formula. Just about every review begins with his positively epic intro and theme song featuring logos from movies that have zero relation to one another. His theme song definitely isn't royalty free, definitely not, nope.
Hello, I'm Ben Miracle. Welcome to Where Hollywood is Taken Seriously.
You get the review itself, and a final grade to score whatever film he's yapping on about.
I give Minions a B+.
He then asks the viewer to follow him on Facebook
Seriously on Facebook.
and to
You can
email
also
him
email me
with your thoughts and opinions as recently as 2022, which is the kind of shit I live for, to be honest. The show always ends with the same exact outro and credits. This consistency manages to add a lot to the comedy factor of this channel. That, along with how seriously he takes Hollywood.
I do not accept any apologies from Hollywood, nor do I accept any excuses from Hollywood.
I mean, just look at that face! You know he means business. It makes some of Ben's bizarre takes.
The fact that the movie is in black and white makes it even creepier.
He honestly reminds me a little bit of Derek VL's classic review of Space Chimps for Wii.
It's sad to see designers Brash Entertainment choose to contribute to the sexist environment that led to Hillary Clinton's unfair downfall in the Democratic primaries by including a female monkey that is, by herself, defenseless for the first level or so.
Who you gonna vote for? Space Chips for the Nintendo Wii.
Editing mistakes and the few times his show does deviate from the status quo, 100 times funnier.
This film shows that Zack Snyder is the worst director in Hollywood right now, and needs to find the back door to Hollywood, and on the way out, get a good swift kick in the rear end.
Ben uses a green screen. I know. You're probably devastated to discover that he doesn't actually rent out an entire movie theater just to film his reviews. You can go cry in the corner that isn't covered up by the green screen properly. There's plenty of room. The green edging, or whatever it's called, around Ben's body, it looks freaking epic. Sometimes it even looks like a retro.
Whoa, nice graphics!
It isn't uncommon to see secrets that lie beyond. Sometimes Benny Boy is just floating. He's so talented. Oh, and beyond the intro and outro, there's no music to speak of. The vast majority of music you're hearing today is coming from me, friends. Hope you're enjoying it. You've probably already noticed that the video quality in Ben's reviews is complete dog shit. The resolution that Ben's videos are uploaded in it's fascinating. Most of them are uploaded in standard def, 360p, sometimes 480p, which was still relatively common to see back in 2013. But the fact that he was still uploading in those resolutions as recently as 2 years ago is fucking incredible. And then sometimes his videos were randomly in 240p and look even worse. And then, a few months into his YouTube career, Ben entered the fantastical world of 720p HD with his review of Critic, just to immediately return to standard def with his next upload. And it's not like all of his very few HD videos really even benefit from the resolution boost. Like, maybe we're getting a little too crystal clear here. Sometimes the theater background looks relatively fine, sometimes it's the crustiest PNG you've ever seen in your life.
Boring, uninteresting, and had enough flaws to make this review a half-hour long.
Where Hollywood is taken seriously is usually pretty easy and enjoyable watching. Some might find Ben's film criticisms to be somewhat surface level.
What I thought was unique about the scenes where the Mexican suspect was in the interrogation room was that there was no yelling or beating anyone up.
But the passion is always evident and infectious.
This film had a big flaw, which was adding an extra plot that did not.
It's the awkward moments and Ben's occasional off-the-cuff comments that make his stuff truly special, though.
I found this film to be more for adults than kids. That is because of a scene that has sexual connotation in it.
He freaking loves the Oscars. Even if he disagrees with the winners chosen by the oh-so-distinguished Academy, he still gives the show more respect than probably anyone else on the planet. If an actor in a movie has won or even just been nominated for an Oscar at any point, you better believe that Ben's gonna tell you about it every single time.
Two-time Oscar-nominated actor, Oscar-nominated director, two-time Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning, two-time Oscar-winning, has won 2 Oscars.
And every time, he'll ask you, where's Billy Crystal?
Where's Billy Crystal?
He really wants to know where that guy is. Ben's channel started out with his Iron Man 3 review. A Marvel classic, I'm sure, let's just pretend I've watched it. We see the origins of all of Ben's iconic elements, including the powerful
is
at the end of every review, though it's still pretty weak here.
And remember, this is where Hollywood is taken seriously.
It took Benjo Marui some time and practice to give us some real oomph.
This is where Hollywood.
Jesus, Ben, don't hurt yourself, buddy. It's okay. And my goodness gracious, you better behave yourself around Ben. You wouldn't want to receive his dreaded F-.
The following films have all received my dreaded F-.
But don't worry, he gives his A+ score out like candy, so if your name happens to be, oh, I don't know, every single entry in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, you'll be just fine. But let's address the Maleficent in the room.
I walk alone.
According to the credits, Whits is a show that airs on Mansfield Cable Access, which means public access, which means that the people of Massachusetts were subjected to moments like this.
At number 1 is Hereditary, which is a god-awful horror film that is forgettable.
And when Ben.exe stopped functioning properly. public access has been all but completely irrelevant since Ben even started this whole thing. So I highly doubt more than maybe, what, a dozen people were watching on TV, which is just about as much as he was getting on YouTube. Seeing a public access show like this in the 2010s and 2020s was unbelievable, and makes Ben's content feel rather similar to that of another internet legend. George, they should give Laura Croft breast cancer would, aka gaming in the Clinton years. Only major difference being that Ben says some strange things but has a real passion for film.
This Batman movie is very unique because of the animation that is used is anime.
I'm a girl reviewer on the internet. Oh, I'm a guy reviewer on the internet.
So how about these reviews themselves? What makes them so special? What makes them tick? Surely none of it could be as crazy as what we got from that Georg fellow.
When you pop in this, the first thing you notice is the poor edging.
Miracle.
But let's take a look. Let's start out with a completely random one. Let's say, oh, I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's do that one.
Once the final battle starts, each Guardian starts fighting different people from Ronin's group. The end of the battle reminds us of 9/11.
Benny Boy, Ben, Barry, B, Benson, Bouncing Bunny, Boobies, Benjamin. Could you please repeat that?
The end of the battle reminds us of 9/11.
From within your mind, no one else can find the life that you inspire.
Now with that relaxing flight out of the way, go ahead and select your favorite Ben alt and we'll check out another video. Most of his videos range from about 3 to 6 minutes long, but hey, look! Jersey Boys review, and it's 8 whole minutes of Ben content. This is not edited at all, by the way. This is
The true darkness!
multiple Ben B reviews only last for a portion of the video's actual runtime. Like the Jersey Boys video says it's 8 minutes long, but the actual review ends 4.5 minutes in. That's not including the 10 seconds of nothing at the beginning of the video too. Check out this very normal review.
And remember, this is where Hollywood is taken seriously.
Ben has such a gorgeous singing voice. And man, do I adore his accent.
From action to comedy to horror to drama.
I'll shake my booty in my own movie.
One of my favorite Ben quirks is his obsession with being as professional in his reviews as possible. So every time he refers to any movie, he never gives it any sort of abbreviation.
X-Men, Days of Future Past, The Rogue Cut. X-Men, Days of Future Past, The Rogue Cut. X-Men, Days of Future Past, The Rogue Cut.
He always makes sure to state the full official title of every film every time, along with the original release year, even if he repeats this title multiple times in a single review.
It is not one of those kids' movies that adults will also find funny and entertaining, like the 1995 film Toy Story or the 2001 Academy Award-winning film Shrek.
Buddy old pal, what might look good in a professional written review sounds so silly and awkward when spoken out loud multiple times. I wouldn't have it any other way, Ben. I love you with all my heart.
Trying to get away from you and your stupid racism.
Ben's reviews of family and kids films are some of his absolute best, because the way he dissects them just fascinates me.
Paul Giamatti voices the character of Chet. Paul Giamatti brings so much life to the character that you actually feel like you are watching a live-action Paul Giamatti performance.
Lest we forget that he thinks that Minions are too sexy for kids. You can admit it, Ben. It's okay, this is a safe space.
If the movie is going to be titled Epic, then the story must be epic.
Good God, he really does take Hollywood seriously. Sound the Hollywood alarms! It's a Hollymergency! Gorm Lucas should be really ashamed over this blunder.
Hey, what's up guys, this is Rich. We're here with IGN's official Wii U unboxing.
There's some classic Ben quotes like this one that just tickle me.
Some of the monsters are nice little monsters, like the strawberry.
And I'll never forget his evergreen Turbo review where he states that the villain sucks.
The bad guy was not scary and creepy. he also was not written very well either.
But then proceeds to immediately give it a perfect score.
I give Turbo an A+.
Damn, if Iron gripped Bem like the taco building movie that much, surely he must have loved How to Train Your Dragon 2, right?
I am not forgiving when grading a movie. I give How to Train Your Dragon 2 an F-.
Despite having very few people out there to piss off until recently, Ben is no stranger to having nuclear hot takes about movies. Like Bohemian Rhapsody, that god-awful Queen biopic. Yeah, he thought it was perfect. How about Hereditary, considered by many to be a horror classic? It was his #1 most hated film of 2018.
A mindless piece of crap.
But he has the best cadence of any critic on the platform, so you can't get mad at him. And for some reason, he can't get enough of movies with characters named Whitey in them.
This is my favorite Adam Sandler film, and it is funny.
Now that's seriously no technical foul.
We two, we're friends to the end. Ain't we, my friend?
Watching through a lot of Wits reviews in a row will really put you in a trance. They're all so similar that the few that deviate in any way are genuinely like a jump scare. Ben takes Hollywood so seriously to the point that he refers to it like it's an individual person.
Recently, Hollywood released a different cut of the film.
Imagine a gaming YouTuber saying, "Well, I sure hope John gaming industry got fired for that one." His cadence is typically so intense and his stance so stiff, like a real Ben of bricks. It's so funny when he decides to get sassy or goofy for like a brief moment once like every 5 videos or so.
Well, I can tell you that he failed.
Oh, you failed.
It's just so out of nowhere and it makes me giggle like a fucking idiot.
Their performances are so horrible that they might as well be starting to think about retiring.
But Benny Boy wasn't meant to be a solo act forever. No. Throughout his entire legacy, he managed to snag a single solitary one-time collaborator for his review of the 2017 adaptation of Stephen King's It. You're never gonna believe it, he got this guy. This guy was invited onto the show because, as Ben states, he is a Stephen King connoisseur, which would mean that he's an expert judge of a specific topic, according to Google Dictionary. So how does this exquisitely dressed gentleman begin his portion of his review?
As Stephen King connoisseur, we'll be reviewing the movie It. What did you think about the movie It since you read the book?
Well, you know, I read the book in anticipation of seeing the movie. I hadn't read it before.
You, sir, are a fraud. You call yourself a Stephen King connoisseur, yet you haven't even read the dude's 4th best-selling novel of all time? That's like calling yourself a Nintendo connoisseur and then being like, "Yo, this is my first time playing Mario." Either Ben got scammed by this guy or he set this poor man up for failure. Either way, this is the funniest intro to a review I've ever fucking seen in my life. But the wacky shenanigans don't end there. By late 2017, Ben's channel had become a massive success, and he was getting other YouTubers begging on hand and knee for the chance to collab. Bet you didn't know Scott the freaking Woz did film reviews with Ben the Miracling Miracle, huh? You always thought he was just a nerdy white boy video gamer dude, but he's into movies too. Insane stuff. Hold up. I've just been informed that is not in fact Scott the Woz, and is actually Ben's #1 partner in Sirius, the completely different nerdy white boy film critic dude, Steven Sibilia.
Today, my guest, Steven Sibilia, and I.
But now, our solo channel was occasionally a duo.
It's everything I could have wanted in this movie. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No.
Steven ended up appearing in a whole bunch of reviews, starting with the Stranger Things Season 2 review. Yes, I know that's not a movie, just another glitch in the Matrix, don't worry about it.
The rest of the film is the biggest god-awful ripoff of the 1981 film Raiders of the Lost Ark. This film literally felt like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Do you agree?
I gotta say...
Something I find funny about Ben's reviews with Steven is that they are way more chilled out than his usual content. Ben is so relaxed when talking to Steven about movies. It's fantastic watching him just look so casual when facing Steven, and then immediately going back to looking like he's going to rip his leg off at any moment whenever he faces the camera, when the serious re-enters his body.
Yeah, it's comic book, it's very kind of far-fetched and like action movie-esque, you know.
In contrast to Ben's extremely distinct personality, Steven is kind of just like a dude.
You can't have it just action. There's got to be a story that makes sense and characters that we can kind of be attached to and like.
But that's not an insult. He seems like a really cool guy who's just as passionate about movies, maybe just a little less blood-hungry for Hollywood goblins compared to Ben.
I would have rather had to sit through gum graft surgery than watch this film again.
Their duo reviews don't have as many insane moments as the regular Ben ones, but they're a pretty relaxing watch. After several attempts from big Hollywood to assassinate the only critic brave enough to take them seriously, we finally reach the current decade, the 2020s. After a few years on duty with Benjamin, unfortunately, Steven had to return to his home planet, Gamerville, and he died on the trip there. Rest in peace. Steven, you were truly goated, and your reviews with Ben made for such great YouTube poop.
Like, he tells 3 stories about how he came on
the Joker's mother.
In Steven's final appearance in a review with Ford vs. Ferrari in January 2020, Steven never made his way back to wits after the Black Plague 2 hit. It even took Ben a while to make his comeback. He didn't upload any new content for an entire year. This was a really difficult time for us serious heads, don't judge. And while things were largely back and more serious than ever for Ben's show, there were a few brand new funny glitches in the serious tricks. Like his first and to date only full review of a classic older film. Set in front of a blue theater this time for some unexplained reason. We also got a review of The Rise of Skywalker. Oh god, side tangent. But I love how every time he says the word rise in any movie title, every single time without fail, he makes it sound as mystical as possible.
I'll be reviewing Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, 300 Rise of an Empire, Star Wars: The Rise.
It almost sounds like he thinks it's a legitimate requirement, or else Hollywood will like beat him up or something. I don't know. This is his only review he ever did out of hundreds, with a completely unique background, complete with the best, most lifelike movement effects I've ever laid my eyes on.
She knows can help the resistance defeat the dark side.
Look at him shake around like a nervous puppy. It's so cute. And he ended up giving this film an A+. I can't emphasize enough just how much he adores Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings, and Halloween. And he compares so many movies to those franchises, whether it actually makes any sense at all or not. As of November 2022, his latest review is, hopefully not fittingly, Hollywood... Hollywood... I typed Hollywood ends. I typed Hollywood ends. Look, fuck. This is the best typo of all fucking time. Halloween ends.
The movie's biggest problem wasn't Chris Pratt's god-awful performance.
I don't know if Wits will ever make a comeback. I sure hope it does. We need a guy who takes Hollywood this seriously now more than ever before.
As for the writing, Andrew Stanton, who is a seasoned writer when it comes to the Toy Story films and Pixar films in general, clearly hasn't heard of the word originality or the definition of the word.
Ben, please return to us. My seriousometer is running dangerously low. I might die, guys. I might actually die if Benny Boy doesn't come back.
This is serious.
And the only one that they really write well is Professor Xavier.
Yeah.
But I just hope that this enigma of a YouTube critic is doing well with whatever he's even up to these days. And you too, Steven, you little scamp, you. Maybe they're working as double agents. Maybe they've infiltrated the main Hollywood base. Or Colonel. Maybe they can be found at the local Cinnabon at the mall. Ben Miracle may say some weird, nonsensical things.
John Harrison's cell reminds me of Hannibal Lecter's cell in the 1991 film Silence of the Lambs.
Have an air of awkwardness about as thick as the Luigi in this art here.
She really made the audience believe that she had Alzheimer's.
And editing mistakes happen pretty often.
The acting
While he actually does have some solid, straightforward reviews sometimes, I think it's pretty clear that he isn't really the most well-formulated critic YouTube's ever seen.
The final fight at the end of the film reminded me a little too much of the fights between Spider-Man and Doc Ock from the movie Spider-Man 2.
But boy, oh boy, is his stuff just oozing to the brim with charm. He cares about movies so much and takes them so seriously that he's utilized multiple formats, including a radically outdated form of entertainment to get his thoughts out to the world, and I just appreciate everything about that so much.
The final action sequence seemed like the audience was watching a video game and not a movie. That feeling is something that I hate when watching any action film. I give Angel Has Fallen an A.
Wits just has such a warm feel that I love, you know? In between the mind-boggling comments about 9/11 and all that, I'm so glad that my Out of Context Clips account on Twitter finally brought him some much-needed attention, and I'm even happier to be making this video for y'all today. This is a love letter to Ben's content. Please do not bully Ben if you can even reach him. He deserves all the A+ in the world. Ben, if you're somehow watching this video right now, just know that your reviews seriously brought so much joy to my heart. I could even say that you and your show are truly a miracle. And that, folks, was where Rennie Ultrafox is taking where Hollywood is taken seriously. And now, allow me to read the greatest hate comment that any microscopic channel has ever received in the history of ever. From Email Atomic. Ben, I think you should just work by yourself. When you Mac reviews yourself, you actually have something to say. You're express some enthusiasm for the content, but when you're working with your partner here, he doesn't seem to like these action movies, and you guys together combined just don't have anything insightful to say. When you have a partner, you just seem to lean on whatever negative thing he has to say and then agree with how much you guys didn't like that character or that moment in the film. You don't articulate a description, which would indicate you at least understood what they were going for. There's a new TV show out on FX called What We Do in the Shadows. In that show, they have vampires. They have regular vampires that just suck your blood, but they have a new kind of vampire called an energy vampire. And it's just a boring guy in glasses, the kind you meet in the office, and the minute enters the room, he just sucks all the fun out of it. You two together are like energy vampires. You make me want to go to sleep. I didn't think that much of Captain Marvel, but I could go on for a few minutes about the things I liked about the characters and the themes, like getting up when you're knocked down. You just can't drone on for several minutes about how you didn't like this character or this part of the story or that part of the story without talking about what the story was or trying to do and why it failed or succeeded. You guys look like you could be the next You guys look like you could be the next Cicely and Ebert. You're the fat one and he's the skinny one. Oh my fucking god. But you have no movie review chemistry together. You might be the best of friends in real life, but together you are less than the sum of your parts. You are better alone than you are together. I want to shoot myself in the brain when I'm listening to YouTube drone on about what you don't like. At the very least, don't do action movies together because you totally suck at that. I liked your Green Book review. You actually came alive for that. Maybe you guys shouldn't take movies seriously in such a literal way. May I remind you that movies can be fun? Even the dumb movies can be fun. And from Alex Friedman 8670, we got a response. Mr. McDonald. While I agree that this particular review could have been more balanced, I think it's largely an issue of scripting. Mr. Miracle should have outlined his opinions and give himself and his partner equal screen time, instead of trying to lodge a joint opinion. Secondly, Mr. Miracle is not fat. He He just clearly favors looser-fitting clothing. Calling him the fat one is just a rude thing to write. In my review of Mr. Miracle's reviews so far, I've found that he doesn't appreciate the elements of camp outside of the horror genre. Whether he appreciates camp or not tends to be dependent on the literal horror inflicted by a given antagonist. So in the future, please consider that and don't call people fat. As always, I remain humbly at your service. Friedman. An email responds, "This does remind me of Siskel and Ebert. Ebert was called the fat one, and Cisco was called the skinny one. Ben has a similar build to Ebert in his younger days. That's just facts, man. Your credit, you're going to be cruelly critiqued." What?